All right. Good afternoon and welcome to the meeting of the Governor's Interagency Advisory Council on Homelessness to Housing Technical Assistance Committee. This meeting has been publicly noticed in compliance with Nevada's open meeting law. Vice Chair Brooke Page will call the meeting to order.
Great. Good afternoon, everyone. It is now 1:03 p.m. on February 17th, 2026, and I'd like to call the meeting of the Nevada Interagency Advisory Council on Homelessness to Housing Technical Assistance Committee to order. And so, Abigail, as the moderator, would you please call the roll?
Yes. Chair Michelle Fuller-Halauer. Vice Chair Brooke Page.
Present.
Dr. Pamela Janelle.
Present.
Chris Murphy.
Present.
Adrienne Babbitt.
Present.
Julie King. Dr. Diana Turner. Dr. Katrina Grigsby Thedford.
Here. Looks like all my housing. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay.
Arash Ghaffori.
Present.
Joanna Grant.
Present.
Vevlin Grant.
Present.
Thank you. We have quorum, Vice Chair.
Wonderful. Thank you, members, for joining us today. Going on to item number 2 on the agenda is public comment. As a reminder, no action may be taken upon a matter raised until the matter has been specifically added to the agenda. Comments are limited to 3 minutes. If you are making a public comment via phone, you can call 1-775-321-6111 and use the ID code listed on the agenda 71029-308#. We are now open for public comment. Please unmute yourself and state your name for the council.
Hi, Dr. Pamela Janelle here. I just wanted
Hi.
to say hello. And I just wanted to let everyone know I was out on medical leave, but I'm back. I've missed all of you. And I wanted to just take a moment to share that the Nevada Compass app, the desktop version, is up and ready to go. I will have to check, thank you, with the committee to see if I can put the link in the chat. If not, I can email it to Abigail so that I abide by the rules so that everyone will have the opportunity to take a look at it. We are still in the process of getting the app loaded onto the App Store so that it can be widely available for use for everyone. And I want to take a moment to thank those of you on this particular committee, and then also our partners at Nevada Homeless Alliance and NPHY for your feedback. It took 2 to 3 long years to get to this point. And so it's not lost on me that, it does take a team and a village to get some work done. And so I look forward to continued partnership. And I just wanted to take a moment to say thank you for that. Let me know if I could put the link in the chat for everyone. Thank you.
Well, welcome back, Dr. Janelle. Good to see you. Hope you're feeling well. And unfortunately, we can't use the chat. Chat is disabled for this meeting, but please forward your information and we'll share it with the committee. Thank you. Any other public comment? All right. Do we have any written public comment, Abigail?
There's none.
Okay. All right. Well, we will close agenda item number 2 and move on to number 3. And this is for possible action to discuss and possible approval of the minutes from the January 20th, 2026 Interagency Council on Homelessness to Housing TA Committee meeting. I hope everyone has had a chance to review the minutes from our January 20th meeting and seeing if anybody has any questions. If not, we will entertain a motion.
This is Adrian Babbitt for the record. I move to approve the minutes from January 20th.
Wonderful. Thanks, Adrian. And do we have a second?
Arash, I'll second.
Thanks, Arash. Any discussion? All right, seeing none, all in favor, please vote by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposition, please say nay. Are there any abstentions? All right, seeing none, motion is approved. Thank you all. We'll move on to agenda item number 4 for possible action, discussion and possible vote around the definition of the scoring criteria and letter of interest for recruitment. And so I know we have a committee that's been working on this in the interim. Thank you so much to our committee. Does anybody want to represent our committee today and lead us on this topic?
Hi, Vice Chair. I'm part of the group. I'm driving. So
Okay.
No. And Dr. Katrina and I had limited chance for discussion, but I know we worked a bit offline. Dr. Katrina, is there anything you can speak to right now while I'm driving?
Okay, yes, I was trying to get, I'm at an event. I was trying to get the keys to the vehicle and I heard you. So what we're talking about now, I was asking a question, is the size and composition stuff or what? I just kind of missed it. I'm sorry. Can you tell me where we're at? Okay.
Yes, we are on agenda item 4 where we're going to discuss for possible action to vote around a definition of the scoring criteria and letter of interest for recruitment. And I think we wanted to just kind of strategize if you all had any thoughts about the criteria and how we should be thinking about our processes. There's been a lot of work done on this already, so we appreciate it. And just any updates?
Do you hear any of this crazy sound behind me or am I okay?
You're okay. I don't hear nothing.
Okay. Actually, okay. I'm right here on Martin Luther King and I hear a lot of cars in my ear. So let me get my notes out. So yeah, so you guys, I wasn't here. It's windy, so my paperwork fell. Can somebody get it for me? Okay, I got it. So I wasn't here last month, but so Arash shared with you guys the criteria, the rubric, and all that good stuff, as well as some additional verbiage for hopefully the website when people are interested in, submitting their application or proposal to be part of the team. And so outside of that, he did email me and said that, you guys want to know a little bit feedback on what we thought about size and composition. So I'm thinking, and we had a brief talk about maybe a 12 to 15 member committee, and 2-year terms, right? Kind of like staggered, right? So that we can keep in the people who are just like, who's been here and have a lot of history, and just knowing that people could drop off at any time, and kind of having a staggered process in that. And so with the opportunity to serve another 2-year term, and Arash, he was interested in maybe 3 terms, right? So that can just be up for conversation. And so I think it's important, of course, some of the guidance says that, at least one of the voting, each committee has to have a clear and one voting member of the ICHH, and I'm on the ICHH, so we're good with that. And so I just think that we need to think about what our composition should look like as it relates to how many members we want, what is the minimum, what is the maximum, the terms and how long that looks like. My suggestion was an initial 2-year term. I did kind of do some research about staggered terms, and maybe new people coming in can do a year, so that every 1 year, a group of people may be falling off or being voted back in. And then we continue to get new perspectives and also continue to keep this traditional knowledge of what's going on. So there's multiple ways for it to work. when we are doing like 2-year terms. If you want to do it staggered, just keeping in mind that not everybody's going to come in at the same time unless we have an open application type thing where we, accept people at X, Y, and Z quarters, at the beginning or ends of quarters and things like that. So that's pretty much all I got. I think staggered makes sense because all members, they won't be rolling off at the same time. If everybody had a 2-year term, everybody's term wouldn't be up at the same time. New members are onboarded gradually. We remain stable and refreshed. And yeah, that's pretty much all I got. And of course, we need to make sure that we have members with different backgrounds, not lived experience, but different backgrounds as it relates to housing, substance use, justice, work, and things like that, policy development, and all that. And another thing that I wanted to see, what do we think about, is like a percentage of the individuals should be to have lived experience. So that lived experience doesn't have to be of homelessness, but just lived experience, the broader term lived experience. And I think I wrote 20%, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
I'm kind of rambling because I can't really hear focus out here on the street. So hopefully you guys caught some of that.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Katrina.
You're welcome.
I think that provides a good overview of just the discussion. Members, are there any questions that you have for Dr. Katrina or Arash? Yes, Adrian.
Hi, good afternoon. Adrian for the record. I was curious if there was any conversation around specific expertise. I think that there was some conversation around like making sure we had representation for like geographically, and then also by specific like strength, so that we had like a very well-rounded membership. And so I was just curious if there was any conversation around that as far as the composition of the group. Thank you.
So I did have in my notes that we should be able to cover the whole Nevada. And I think in that one document that but the new stuff that we created about what the committee should look like, there's kind of a list of different types of careers or backgrounds that we think is important. But it's just the whole Nevada, northern, rural, and southern Nevada, making sure we have coverage for all of 3 areas. Not just 3 areas, because there's 15 counties.
Mm-hmm. All right. Yes. We have a hand, Dr. Pam.
Yes, Dr. Janelle for the record. Wow, it sounds exciting out there. I kind of want to be at that event a little bit, but I'll be chasing my hair down the street, and we don't want that. That's happened before.
Okay.
Thank you both very much for everything that you've put into just uplifting and elevating our selection process for members. The question I had was with relation to what Adrian and the other questions have been before, with like that representation, given that we have our different like strategic issues, like will we be using that as like a reference to have like balanced membership? And the only reason I ask is because I think I might be the only person that's been here since 2022 with respect to education. And now that we do have Dr. Turner on board, she actually is in the same agency I am. It took us like 3 years to get representation on that. But because of like the expertise, and when we refer to education, there's education of children and youth experiencing homelessness, but then there's also education of like, let's say our committee members, but then also how we are providing ways and methods to build capacity of those who work with individuals experiencing homelessness. And those are kind of like 2 fundamentally different things.
Exactly.
So that's where I wanted to know, are we using the strategic issues to help us make sure that we have balance when we're seeking members. The things that I saw, I was all on board with it, and thank you very much for the feedback. But do we go a little bit deeper, or do the documents just kind of stay, on the surface area? Thank you. Sorry, that was loaded, but.
So I'm not looking directly at the document, but I know that the original document says that the Technical Assistance Committee may include representatives of federal, state, local agencies, providers of supporter services, religious organizations, persons involved in the sale or lease of housing, and members of the public. So in general, I think we need to make that determination. Like, we just did a draft of what it could look like. Like, we don't want to be the end all be all. And so I think it's worth a conversation to make sure that we're covering what we need to cover, and then have some verbiage in there that allows us flexibility instead of just black and white. These are the individuals, right? I'm sorry, I feel like I cut somebody off.
No, actually, that was good, and thank you very much for that.
Yeah, Arash.
Thank you. Yeah, I was just going to add that, to further what Dr. Katrina said, that, well, one, we didn't get a chance to take it deep as a dive on, like, I guess, suggesting, balances between the type of members and the type of expertise, et cetera. So I think that's something as a group that, we can, like, all provide some input on what type of weight we're looking for in terms of, for each of the categories suggested that we're ranking on, or to Dr. Jordan, the point that it could be by strategy as well. Sorry, driving, got a lot going on, windy out here. Anyway, so I think the group can give some feedback on what should and where the weight should lie. And, if we only have 12 to 15 members, and we're looking for direct experience in professional homelessness, lived experience, intersectional experience like education, et cetera, there's only so many spots to go around. So some input around that would be good. And then I think that, we could, I guess, whip up something together for us to keep in mind as we're accepting new members, where we're lacking and where we're not, in terms of that balance that everyone's seeking in terms of composition.
Dr. Janelle, for the record, thank you both for just all the insight that you've provided. And thank you, group. I appreciate you so much. Thank you.
Great. All right. Next up, Chris, you got your hand up?
The only thing that I would add is we have a lot of organizations in Nevada that do work in homelessness. We got the USDA, we got HUD, we got the state, the DPPH, or that does housing under rural services. And I think that if we're looking at it, we have the broad categories, but I think that we should actually target some of these organizations, especially when I look at our strategic plan and trying to assign activities to different groups and who should be doing what to actually meet the goals of our strategic plan. I think that it's going to be important at some point to have those representatives part of this subcommittee. And, the people who do the low income tax credit, the new group that's doing the governor's initiatives for homelessness in Nevada. I think all of those, if we're going to really put together a strategic plan, we need all of those people together and putting it together and deciding who's going to do what. That's my view or comment. Thanks.
Great. Thanks, Chris, for the feedback. Okay. So lots of good work that's been done. Thank you to both Dr. Katrina and Arash for your time and effort meeting and getting us some more context related to scoring criteria and the committee composition for the TA work group. You all proposed some recommendations last time. We tabled the vote to this meeting in order for us to review, maybe provide some additional feedback, have a more substantive conversation today about the recommendations that were made. as well as, you all going back and kind of providing just some more context to this conversation around size composition. So what I'm hearing is you all discussed thinking about expertise, and the representation related to expertise is important, especially related to geography, thinking about education, background, the strengths that different people bring to this committee. Chris has talked about the importance of ensuring that we've got diversity geographically, and ensuring that we're working with community-based organizations and folks that are embedded in the homeless response system, that we've got representation possibly on this committee. And also there's a lot of cross-sector work that's happening across the state. Is there an opportunity for us to learn from other groups and get representation? So with that being said, we've got this, I'm not sure, Abigail, if you've got and can share the recommendations that were proposed for the size and the composition from the last meeting that we tabled. But I'm wondering, based off of that, if we should, if we have enough information today to consider voting. Or do we need more time? Any thoughts about that? Great. So we have here.
I guess. Oh,
yeah, go ahead, Arash.
I was just gonna say, I guess everyone's kind of seeking like a little more information on how to, I guess how many people to have and how to strike a balance between all the different things that we're looking for. So we're not overweighted or underweighted. So, gosh, I forgot my point. What was my point? So I guess how specific does the group want to get? Do we want to actually say like, you know, let's pull up like what the size recommendations were, but then out of those, whatever that X is, 15, 12, do we want to say that 4 must be this, 4 must be that, 4 must be that out of all these different categories? Or, how nuanced, or how do we want to measure this balance? Does anyone have any input on that? I guess if that makes any sense. Like, what do we
Dr.
see?
Janelle, Dr. Janelle, for the record, I think that the way that the scoring anchors have been laid out in the document, to me, this like really helps us not like, get into the weeds and overthink it. And so I know that at the end of the day, the goal is to make sure that we have enough members so that we meet quorum in our meetings every time and we can advance the work moving forward, which is fantastic. This is leaps and bounds, beyond what we had before. And I think once we do accept new members in, that's when we can possibly, get discussed, because I'm just, offering up a suggestion here to keep the work moving forward. Then maybe tying it to the strategic issues, based on, once again, the individual's expertise and things like that. So I'm curious to know what the rest of our committee thinks with regards to this, because I do think that this gives us a lot more information and foundational support than we've ever had before, or at least that I've seen since I've been a part of the committee. So what do y'all think?
Thank you, Dr. Janelle. Brooke, for the record, I add my 2 cents. I mean, I do think we need to consider the composition in terms of quorum, and the importance of us. We've been able to meet quorum really well in the last good 6 months. I feel like with the current makeup that we have, I think when you become more restrictive and more nuanced in terms of prescribing maybe what type of folks we want to see on the committee, I'm wondering if that then impacts, someone's willingness to want or desire to be at the table. Like, I think we've opened and casted a wide net. People who have been interested in joining this council have been able to participate, and hopefully, they can attend and be in alignment with the expectation of the meeting cadence and the schedule. And in the event that they can't, I mean, I think us targeting a certain population is one thing, and ensuring that we get certain representation on the committee, but prescribing it in writing and saying these folks have to be on the committee, I feel like could limit our ability to then ensure that we've got the makeup and representation in order to meet quorum. But that's just my thoughts. So got some hands. Let's go with Dr. Janelle. Did you still have your hand up?
Oh, yeah, I was going to add to your thought because
Okay.
thank you. You actually speak, Pam, and that's exactly what I was thinking. Like, maybe, get our members in and then, of course, bring them on to talk about the different strategic issues, because that way what it does is it gives all of us the opportunity to bring in the new members and then also have some flexibility on, like where, which of the strategic issues may or may not need more support. And we can be very malleable and flexible in our grouping based on the expertise and like the present needs, because we do know that sometimes legislation comes up where all of us may need to get behind making sure we're able to support certain types of legislation. So there may be more on housing at this particular juncture versus like a piece on education, et cetera. So I do agree with what you're saying there, because that makes more sense. We don't want to limit folks before they have the opportunity to fully participate as members. Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you. Adrian.
Hey, this is Adrienne. So to that point, I agree. I just was going to say, I think we continue on with our membership and the way that we've been, or the way that we're planning to do selection process, but to also as a committee, like look at our strategic plan, look at our membership and see where our gaps might be, and then be intentional about inviting those people to the conversation to present at this meeting or to consult or advise, in areas that maybe we do not have as a collective strength.
Love that. Great points. All right, Arash.
I second what
And
at what Adrienne said. I don't know what.
and to speaking of gaps, maybe what we do is march forward like everyone's talking about, and maybe staff, like if they can aggregate data for us, like where where the geography representation is on the board, where lived experience is on the board, not who, but just like 4 out of 10, 3 out of 10, 2 out, or a different way of like compiling the data that makes sense per category, like for geography, etc. And then every time we are considering someone new, or until we further refine it, we just have that sent out every time. So the subcommittee remembers what the current composition of the committee is, if that makes any sense.
Mhm.
We might not all remember like, exactly what geographies, whether we all have lived experience, et cetera. So it might just be good to know that what the current reality of the current data of the board is in really simple terms.
Mm-hmm. Okay, good points. Any other thoughts or discussion on this item? Okay. Well, this is really important stuff, very rich, and I think it's sort of impacting our ability to kind of, one, true up what is our number? How many people are on this committee? Do we have enough folks for quorum? I think those are things that we just want to be in alignment with our open meeting law policies. And so to that, and I think, we've got for possible action, do we want to vote on, it says the definition of the scoring criteria as it relates to this list here? Do we feel like we have enough information to move forward, maybe with, the next round of recruitment, now that we've done our round recently and brought on 2 new members? Do we want to put this into a pilot and test it out and just see if this works? Or are there some tweaks we want to make before putting this into action related to the scoring criteria?
This is Bevelin for the record. I honestly think we should test it out.
Okay.
If this hasn't been something that's been updated within the past 2 years, I think this would be the perfect time to pilot and see if this works for the next 2 years or 4 years, or whatever the term is for each role.
Okay. Adrian.
Hey, yep, this is Adrian. So I was gonna say, I think that we should look at if this is an action item, like moving to approve this new scoring matrix and then having all of our current membership sort of poll so that we can see where we are currently at as it relates to this new like criteria, and then evaluating if we feel like we have significant gaps and that we would want to increase our membership to try to like do intentional recruitment in the areas that we need more support based on this new scoring matrix.
Okay. It's an important idea to just leverage this scoring criteria to test it against our existing membership, ask staff to help us understand our existing membership, and if there's gaps, use that to then recruit for future or increase our current size and recruit for membership. Is that what I'm hearing saying, Adrian?
Yes, Brooke. And I just envy your ability to like recap, like just it's so impressive.
Thank you. We're taking shorthand notes, so appreciate it. Okay, great. Any discussion related to that recommendation committee? Any thoughts on this?
This, Chris, for the record, I like that idea. And that way, each of us has an opportunity. We can each score ourselves, and that way, uh, we can compile those scores and see exactly where we sit presently. And it gives us the chance to test the tool on people that we know the best ourselves.
This is Adrienne again. I think too, if we're gonna do a poll, if we could include like an open text box that's like what would be important for the committee to know about your experience that maybe was not captured in this scoring matrix? So that way we're making sure that we're covering all our bases.
An open-ended question. Okay. Any other discussion? And does this feel like it's addressing the committee, the subcommittee that met, and the work that you all have done thus far? Are there any, do you all have any feedback kind of on these recommendations and thoughts about how we should proceed?
No, I think it's good to adopt what we have, which is like part of it, and then refine or update as we go, but not stall it further so we can start using it and experimenting with it. And, if everyone thinks that it's at least a step in the right direction, let's adopt that and then keep, stepping with it.
Dr. Janelle, for the record, I agree and concur. Let's keep the party going.
All right. Okay, well, I will entertain a motion. If anybody wants to make a motion related to the scoring criteria and letter of interest for recruitment. And I feel like, Adrian, you have the language, in my opinion, if you wouldn't mind.
Okay. This is Adrienne Babbitt for the record. I move to adopt the scoring matrix as it is written. And can I include the information about recommending a poll to match existing membership across our new scoring matrix criteria?
Great. Thank you for the motion. Do you have a second?
This is Dr. Janelle for the record. I second the motion.
Okay. Any discussion? All right. Seeing none, all in favor, please respond by saying aye.
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 All those opposed, respond by saying nay. Any abstention? Okay, the motion passes. We have a scoring criteria for this committee. Congratulations. Thank you all for the hard work. Okay, so that leaves us now with agenda item number 5. This is also for possible action. It is to discuss and possible vote around the reestablishing the size and the composition of the committee. So based on our prior discussion, what are your thoughts related to this agenda item? It feels might be a bit premature based on agenda item 4 now. What are your thoughts?
This is Adrian. I would move that we postpone this discussion and also potentially rewrite the language around term limits, as Arash and Dr. Katrina had mentioned.
This is Dr. Janelle for the record. I second that motion.
Any discussion on the motion? I love how you just started with the motion. That's great. All right.
Get it done. I appreciate y'all.
Get her done. All those in favor of the motion, please respond by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Nay. Any abstention? All right, motion passes. We're going to table number 5, and we're going to also request that we consider writing, consider term limits, and that be rewritten for consideration. Okay, we're moving right along. We're on agenda item number 6, discussion and possible vote regarding the recommended change of the action plan to the strategic plan and any communications to the Interagency Council on Homelessness to Housing. So if you all recall, during our last meeting, we discussed the importance of us being able to present to the next ICHH meeting with our recommendations to that committee of the strategic plan. If there's recommendations that we think in the next iteration of the strategic plan that we should be considering, what those recommendations should be, as well as the priorities from the action plan. This committee has done a lot of work to develop an action plan, and we want to make sure that those key priorities that we've identified are considered by ICHH, and that they also help us address how we move those action items forward. And so what we did during our last meeting was sent out, there was a sub-working group that met that included Adrian and myself, and we had our honorary member Chris, who wasn't able to join us, but provided some feedback. And we sent some recommendations to you all for consideration as far as language that we would like for you to consider for today's discussion. We asked if you had any feedback related to the proposal for you to email it to us so we can discuss it today, and make any final recommendations on how we should proceed with the ICHH meeting, hopefully by today. So with that being said, we did receive 2 emails. So I thank the committee members who took the time to submit some comments. And so Abigail, if you wouldn't mind kind of bringing up the recommendations that were sent out related to the new strategic plan, because that's where we've got some comments about. Okay, so great. This is excellent. Thank you so much. So Dr. Turner provided some feedback related to the ad hoc committee notes document. She had no changes, had a question: is this document going to be presented to the TA committee for implementation or to the ICHH for their review approval, and then for the ICH TA to implement? I am assuming this is directed to the TA committee, but would like clarity. So this is all for this TA committee. Everything that we want to do, we don't want to make any decisions without this TA committee being on board and us receiving a vote about what then moves forward to the Interagency Council on Homelessness to Housing. So all of the recommendations were for your consideration as a committee. Did that answer that question, Dr. Turner?
Dr. Janelle, for the record, I don't know if Dr. Turner is here.
Oh, great. Thank you. That'd be helpful, huh? Okay. And then the TA work group recommendations, she had none. So great. So we'll move on to Joanna. Joanna had some comments. Joanna reviewed the materials, and in order to move forward with taking them to the Interagency Council, she had some suggestions that the proposal to the council that we establish a new strategic plan for Nevada based on the suggestions made in the document, include limited timelines, 3 years max, and a schedule for review and revision moving forward, and revised bylaws, and a clear process for establishing buy-in from agencies responsible for action. These are in addition to all the suggestions made in the memo. So I think those are really great touch points in order to make sure that folks are bought in, that we've got some movement happening and accountability. Joanna also recommended that we consider seeking funding to support the work, or even the TA support for the council to better understand the potential of this council. And then also suggest making a firm proposal to the council as to how the TA committee sees the most value in their role, rather than asking them broadly to tell us.
Can I,
Yeah.
sorry, just to clarify, I meant
Okay.
make a firm proposal to the Interagency Council about how the TA committee sees the most value in our role.
Okay,
So
great.
yeah. So making
That's
us
great.
making suggestions on how we think we should be leveraged by the greater Interagency Council committee.
Mm-hmm. I love that. So them kind of wanting to hear our feedback and thoughts about what that looks like. Great. Yes, Adrian. Oh, do I? Yeah, Adrian.
Oh, I
I'm
think
sorry,
Dr. Katrina beat me
sorry.
to it. Yep.
You're right. Dr. Katrina.
So I was reading in the guidance on the updating the strategic plan, and it says working with the Legislative Regulations and Communications Committee. How often are we working with those other committees on our strategic plan? Because it's written into guidance. I feel like since I've been here, we've just been not just, but we've been discussing the strategic plan and things and taking it to the broader ICHH and not the other committees. Is that something that we actually do, or that we should start actually implementing? Like I said, working with legislative regulations and communications committees, and do those committees even exist? So kind of like a
$1,000,000
question, $1 million question, right?
Yes, we have to
Okay.
adjust that for inflation because it's been a couple years. My apologies, please, Ms. Page, proceed.
No, thank you, Dr. Janelle. So I think to answer your question, I'm going to pass it over to Abigail and the staff to get their feedback on the makeup of the subcommittees.
Regarding the makeup of the subcommittee, there is no set rules. It's not as complicated as the big council, but with Dr. Katrina Grigsby Tedford's question, I don't have an answer to that. Let me get back to you.
Thank you so much. I think I found it on the website or in some of the original guidance from 2019. No, actually 2020, when the Technical Assistance Committee was established in September, and all this is in that guidance. Yeah, so it's 6 years old almost.
Yeah. There once was, from my history with this committee, I do recall there being in a communications sub-working group, a policy sub-working group that were active during the past. I think it's the priorities too, of like what the chair and kind of what that looks like. So I would love if Abigail, if the staff would give us some guidance on that, if it's built into statute that's required that we work with those committees to develop the strategic plan, what does that look like if those committees don't exist? So they did exist in the past.
I did recently read the bylaws because I was just added to this committee, and it looks like they haven't been revised since 2021. So it might be an opportunity, like the work we're doing internally with the TA committee, to invite the council to consider and revise the bylaws overall so that we can better work together.
Mm-hmm. Great. All right. Yes, Adrian.
Hi, Adrian, for the record. So I have two comments. Number one, I 100% agree that we should make firm, solid proposals to the council in order to propel our work forward. I think that we tried to do that with the action plan and how we saw our role in accomplishing some of those tasks. And so I think, we should continue to be assertive in our communications with the council so that we can be as productive as possible. So definitely want to just agree with that. And then I wanted to speak to the comment about a new strategic plan, because I thought that our current strategic plan was like a living document that we would be able to update and revise. So I think we would need to decide as a working group if the priority areas that we identified are significantly different to where we are today versus when the strategic plan was created. And if not, then maybe we just revise based on those suggestions versus start from scratch with a new strategic plan.
Mm-hmm. Great. So this is also, I think, a question for Abigail and the team about is the requirement for a 5-year strategic plan something that can be updated? Is it something that needs to be overhauled, a new plan? And maybe these are questions too for the Interagency Council and the expectations, there are just nothing maybe set in stone about what that looks like, but I think it is prescribed in the legislation about the plan. So I think if Abigail, could you help us with some guidance for our next meeting about that?
Yes, we will look into the NRS and also ask counsel from our DAG. We will give you an answer before the meeting on March.
Okay. Okay, great. All right, so thank you again to Dr. Turner and Joanna for your time and providing some feedback related to the memo that was written and recommendations. Are there any other discussion about any feedback or questions related to the memo that we want to consider today? And this memo is drafted. We wanted everyone on this committee first to have an opportunity to read it, understand it, provide feedback. It is intended to be sent to the Interagency Council with any recommendations or changes that you all are recommending we make, and that we can vote on that and be able to send them these recommendations. So are there any thoughts about that, about the process, questions? No? Do we all agree with the memo? Is there anything that anybody's like, I don't know if we should send this? Concern? Yeah, Adrian.
Can we post the memo versus the comments?
Yes, great. Abigail, do you have the memo available that we can share? Maybe we can just go through it really quick. Okay, great. Thank you so much, Abigail. Okay, so this is the memo. and it was dated January 20th. And the intent of it is to provide recommendations on priority action items and request guidance on TA, the technical assistant committee's role, our role. What role do they want us to play moving forward? And so it starts off with the purpose. We're going to cover in this memo the things that we've done as a committee related to the strategic plan, elevate the 3 priorities that we've talked about that we want ICHH to prioritize, and that we need guidance and clarification regarding our role. And so that's essentially what this memo is broken up into those 3 categories. So if you scroll down a little, the summary of our work, all of the work done related to the strategic issues, the road shows that we've done to educate folks on those strategic issues, and the working groups that led to the action items that were created that were in alignment with the strategic plan. And then the outreach to the continuums of care, the presentations that have been done over the years to kind of educate about that process, and then reviewing and synthesizing that input into what we have as far as the current action plan, and that is supposed to be an accompaniment to the strategic plan. Okay, so if you scroll down, we've got the TA work group recommendations. And so the 3 strategic areas, issues, and action items that we would like for ICHH to prioritize that we voted on a while back was housing was one of the top strategic issues. Identify permanent funding sources related to housing. And so that was a top one, as well as homeless prevention and intervention. Target prevention funds more accurately for diversion and problem solving. And then the last one was wraparound services, engage stakeholders to establish partnerships and leverage existing resources to address wraparound services. So those are the 3 strategic issues that we wanted to bring forward to the committee. And then on the last page is kind of the recommendations, the request to the council as far as, specifically whether our working group should continue primarily in an advisory capacity to the council, where we sort of roll up to them information. Do they want us, is there expectations related to supporting implementation of any of the action items and the strategic plan, monitoring or evaluation of those priorities, and then how the TA activities should align with the council's current priorities, timelines, and decision-making processes to ensure that those action items are actually being actioned upon and there's feedback. So clear guidance will enable the TA work group to structure this work effectively and continue providing meaningful support to the council. Yes, Adrian.
Hi, Adrian here. So I think that we should, over here, make a couple of revisions to this. So on item 3, I think that we, in line with Joanna's recommendation, change that language to say like propose recommendations for this working group moving forward for their consideration versus requesting guidance. And then I do think that as far as the 3 strategic areas for our action item, we should make potentially some firmer language that really sort of lays out what that could look like versus I'm not sure. I have not been to very many council meetings. And so I want to make sure that if they have quorum, that this is very clear and really sort of propels the work forward into like this should be an action item for them.
Dr. Janelle, for the record, I agree with everything that Adrian said. I do think the language should be more assertive in terms of because we have done all of this work, and for some reason it seems to just kind of land and we may or may not make the agenda. And for all of us with all of this collective expertise on this TA group, you know, I think it not only is it would be a credit to us to allow us to move the work forward instead of, you know, just being kind of like a lay group where we just like wait and see. Because I, you know, and I can speak to this, I've, you know, I know Brooke and chairwoman, they've been here longer than I have. And I'm like, okay, we see the work that we're doing. The thing is that we need more support in literally putting our teeth in it and making the work move. Because being a change agent and then waiting for someone to assist us to continue to be change agents is kind of counterproductive.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so there's some important feedback and changes related to proposing recommendations for their consideration as far as the role that we play, and that we've got some firmer language about what we expect maybe from these strategic issues to happen, and what role we want maybe ICHH to play to move the work forward. Any other thoughts about that?
Does this memo include the recommendations from the ad hoc group that we just gave feedback on, include the updating the strategic plan and that stuff? Sorry, I haven't seen this memo. I've only seen the other documents. So
Okay.
this is the first I'm seeing it.
So there was 2 documents that were sent. This is the memo to ICHH.
Oh, you know what? Just kidding. I do have it, and I did
You
read
do
it.
have it. Okay. The other one was the meeting notes from our meeting that the sub working group met, and there was some proposed language towards the end of that meeting notes just about the strategic plan as a separate topic, and you know, because the strategic plan lives with ICHH as the working group, we may, you know, had some language that we were proposing to consider, like how to move forward with the next iteration of the strategic plan. And if you all think that we should send those recommendations to the committee as well, but I think that was like a separate topic.
Okay, that's what I tripped me up. So I see it
Okay.
here. Thank you. It's great. Thank you.
Okay, so I think we've got some important changes to make on the memo. Do we think the memo should include the recommendations related to the strategic plan as one?
I do. Yeah,
Okay.
I think if we're gonna make some proposals, I think we should go all in with everything.
Okay. Abigail, would you mind pulling up the minutes from the ad hoc committee and that last page that has those recommendations? Okay, so this is the meeting minutes. At the very last page is when we just drafted just some language that we thought we could propose to ICHH for their consideration. And I'll give you a moment to review that. Okay, any thoughts about this recommendation related to the strategic plan and if that should be added to the memo or changes to this language or thoughts about that?
This is Chris for the record. I love these recommendations. I think it's if we're going to truly solve homelessness in Nevada, we need to pull everybody together. And that's what we're basically saying here is let's bring everybody to the table and solve this problem together. That's the only way we're going to do it.
Mm-hmm. Thanks, Chris. Yep, this multi-state focused, like what is everyone doing? How can we make sure we're coordinated across state agencies? Wonderful. Any other thoughts or feedback? Okay, well, we heard Joanna suggest that we incorporate this proposed recommendation related to the strategic plan and add that to the memo that you all just saw. We had some recommendations about changing the proposed recommendation from recommendation to, I'm sorry, let me repeat that. It was changing the language to propose recommendations for the council to consider. So we're sort of elevating the recommendations in a way that, you know, they can maybe make more informed decisions related to the action plan. And then also we want to have firmer language about what they should look for in the three strategic issues. Like what would success look like and what are we hoping for in those three strategic issues, because they're kind of broad. So maybe firming up the language there. Is there any other thoughts about that? Any other recommended changes or things that we should consider?
Yes, Vevelin here. I was just reading it's really a language thing that's making it still feel like we're asking instead of doing it with their consideration. Um, should we consider it being an amendable document versus like a whole next iteration of a strategic plan? Like it should like the recommendations here, wouldn't they just be amendments to the current strategic plan? And then not to have a new strategic plan completely voted on all over again, but just amendments as we update that living document.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that question is contingent upon us getting clarity from Abigail on if every 5 years the plan has to be like a new plan needs to be created, or if we're able to just amend the existing plan and refresh it, then I think that language of us being able to just amend it with this new iteration with incorporating feedback from the various different state agencies could be like an add-on to the
Okay.
existing plan. Yeah. Adrian.
Was the first strategic plan in 21? Is it been 5 years? Is that why we're talking about this?
I believe so. I believe there's been one update to the strategic plan since it was initially created.
Okay. I recall at one of the last committee meetings I was at, they were talking about like formally adopting this as the state plan. And so just like trying to figure out if then once it's formally adopted, could we then continue to amend it or like what that looks like for the process of trying to get that like approved and formalized as like our state's strategic plan officially.
Mm-hmm.
So just a question, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay. Well, I think these are all really important thoughts. Abigail.
Yes, I'm sorry, Brooke. I just would like to add as well that our name has changed from DWSS to Division of Social Services, as well as from DHHS to DHS, Department of Human Services, just to add the edits.
Great. Important updates. Need to make sure we call out the right state agencies. Okay, great. Well, with that then, would the committee entertain a motion then for us to maybe take this work through these recommended changes through the sub-working group to meet again and finalize these comments from today, and then maybe develop a final memo for you all to consider, but sort of having your approval to work on this in anticipation of the next ICHH meeting, which I believe meets before we meet again. Is that correct, Abigail?
I'm sorry, Brooke, can you please repeat the question?
Does the next ICHH meeting, is it before we meet again as an TA TA council?
No, your meeting will be on, next meeting is on March 17th and theirs is
Okay.
on March 19th.
Okay. Okay, great. So then maybe we can take these edits back, make some final changes, and then propose those for the next ICHH TA working group meeting for final vote.
Yes, Dr. Janelle, for the record, I noticed that we always keep, it's like a moving target
Yeah.
with the committee, so that may be something we may want to possibly discuss, just so that we work better in tandem with the committee, the council and the committee. Thank you. I apologize. Ms. Adrian, I saw your hand was up. My apologies.
No, this is Adrian. So I actually put it down because my comment was going to be, if this memo is going to the council meeting for March, I would want to just make sure they had an action item around this, because I recall there was a presentation given by, I can't remember if it was Brooke or Michelle, but then it was like for discussion only, and they weren't actually able to vote on anything. And so if we're sending this memo with action requested, I would hopefully there's an action item on their agenda. But if it's not going to be for March, then that's irrelevant right now.
Yeah, that's a great point. Has the agenda been agendized already for their meeting, Abigail?
Yes, and to
Okay.
answer Adrian's question, it is included on their meeting.
As an action item?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay, great.
My apologies.
So then we will, do we have to send them the memo before in time for it to go like for open meeting law? Does it have to be posted by a certain date, Abigail?
We recommend sending it before their meeting so they can review it too.
Okay, so like the 16th would be okay? Or the 8th, like after our next meeting?
Let's see. If a week is not too much, that would be helpful.
Okay. All right, so we would need to have this finalized ideally by the March 10th.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So then we would need a motion committee in order to kind of approve that we amend our current memo with the suggestions that were raised today, get this out to committee members for review and any final feedback, so that way we can send it to ICHH before March 10th.
Dr. Janelle, for the record, I move that we make the adjustments that were recommended in this meeting to the memo so that it can be reviewed by the committee and also forwarded on to the ICHH so that it can be part of the agenda for their March 17th meeting.
Great. Do we have a second?
I second.
Thanks, Joanna. Any discussion on that or questions, concerns?
This is Adrian. I have a question on that. Does
Yeah.
the ad hoc committee need to be the same membership, or can we open it to additional participation, given we have new membership that have made comments?
Yeah, I think we can open it up. We just can't have a walking quorum.
Wait.
And so
How many is that for us? No,
I think 6 is a quorum. What is a walking quorum, Abigail? Is it 6 too? No more than 6?
For your ad hoc committee, it can't be
Yeah.
more than 3 people.
No more than 3 people. Okay.
On that note, I move that Adrian, no, I'm just kidding.
no, don't you
Forgive
start
me.
that.
My apologies. I was just trying to be supportive.
Okay. Well, is there anybody that, if you want to join that committee and support this, updating these recommendations, can you please just send your names to Abigail and we will see if we can accommodate anybody who wants to join so we address the walking quorum issue. All right, so we got a motion and a second. Any other discussion or questions? All right, all those in favor, please respond by saying aye.
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 Any opposed?
Aye.
It's opposed.
Dr. Katrina, you opposed?
No, I said aye.
Oh, sorry, you didn't say nay. You're right.
Sorry.
Okay.
It happened to me before too. I was like, oops.
All those opposed respond by saying nay. Any abstention? Okay, motion passes. So the committee will meet, we'll get you all an updated memo and we'll go from there. Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing those materials, Abigail. And now we'll move on to our next agenda item, which is agenda item number 7. Discussion of agenda item for the next meeting on March 17th, 2026. Well, that's our meeting day, March 17th. Okay, any other topics? So I know we definitely want to bring back maybe the discussion related to the scoring. We tabled that one. We tabled number 4. I'm sorry, we tabled number 5, reestablishing the size and composition of the TA committee. We may want to review this memo one final time with everyone before we present it to the committee for the strategic plan. Yes.
This is Adrian. Can you just clarify if we're having this memo completed by March 10th?
Mm-hmm.
I thought that the ICH committee was meeting before our next meeting. So can you just clarify, are we meeting again before this memo is going to be reviewed by the full committee, or are we meeting after?
The subcommittee needs to meet before March 10th in order to finalize the memo.
And the final memo will be reviewed by this group before
Correct.
it goes to the council?
Correct.
Okay.
So we want to give some time before March 10th for this committee to have it.
Okay, so then this memo potentially will be reviewed by the council in their April meeting. Is that right?
This memo will, the goal is to get this memo in front of ICHH in their March meeting.
But aren't they meeting before we meet in March?
Oh, are they? What is the date that they're meeting, Abigail?
No, they're not meeting before you guys. They
Oh,
will
they're
be
not.
their
Okay.
yes, their first meeting is on the 19th of March after
Okay.
your meeting.
Okay.
Okay. Sorry about that. I was all mixed up there.
No,
That
good,
helps, though.
great questions. All right. Are there any other agenda topics that you all want us to bring forward for our next meeting? I think, Abigail, are we supposed to adopt the strategic action plan as a committee in like formally? Was that a request by the ICHH?
That is correct. It is recommended for your body to vote for the action plan, not the strategic plan.
Okay. So it might make sense if we send out the action plan, considering we have new members, if we can send out the action plan and bring any questions, thoughts about that action plan before our next meeting and have an agenda item to vote on the action plan to adopt it. Okay. Any other topics? Okay. Seeing none, we will close this agenda item. If you have any topics, though, please send them forward to Abigail for consideration. We'll close this agenda item and move on to agenda item number 8, which is our last public comment period. No action may be taken upon a matter raised until this matter has been specifically added to the agenda. Comments are limited to 3 minutes. If you're making a public comment via phone, please call 1-775-321-6111. Use ID code 731-029-908#. We are now open for public comment. Please unmute yourself. State your name for the council. No public comments? All right. Well, we'll close agenda item number 8 and we're now at adjournment. Agenda item number 9, it's 2:21. Thank you all so much for your time today, and we will schedule the call for our sub-working group. See you all next month.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Have a good day.
Bye-bye.